Shua's wife and widow, and I'm very pleased to invite you to say a few words.
Dearest faculty, student body, friends and family, and especially Emanuela, it's hard to believe I'm standing here today at LIU honoring Shua's life. Gazing at all of you here, I can't help but picture Shua standing here smiling, tall, upright, proud and honored, truly humbled to have the opportunity to address so many people that were a part of his journey. Shua was the best listener about. I've heard it hundreds of times in the past few weeks, but at the same time, he had a beautiful way with words that inspired and lifted others up as well. My dad is a rabbi at the local synagogue in Sydney, Australia, where I grew up. Once a year, Shua, I, Emanuela, and Sophia would make the trip to visit my hometown where I'm from. For over 30 years, my dad has been giving weekly sermons from the pulpit, addressing the congregation. And when the congregants would find out that Shua and the girls were coming, they would come over to my dad ever so respectfully and they would say, "Rabbi, do you think Shua's going to speak while he's here?" There was a tinge of jealousy in my dad, but he was so proud of Shua. It was my father's time and joy to show off, this is how he would describe Shua all the time, the all-American golden boy with the gift of the gab. People don't always stay quiet for my dad's sermon, but when Shua spoke, there was always silence. Shua's words were always genuine, in a way that sought to uplift and empower those who he was speaking to. He spent his life learning so that he could teach and have what to give over. He always did this with love and gave over his wisdom from the most gentle and warm perspective. I can picture him standing there in the synagogue, crisp, tailored black skinny pants, of course, a white linen shirt that was hardly creased even though he'd been wearing it for 3 hours, black patent Cole Haan shoes, topped with his TV commercial ready hair in a thick wave, but always with a beautiful, genuine smile that just drew you in. The congregants were drawn into his warmth and affection, his effortless way with words, and the knowledge and practical inspiration that would flow forth. So it really should be Shua standing here today, but instead it's me, Emanuela, Sophia, his mom and dad, his brothers and sisters. Shua, I know that you're so proud of me right now, and the girls, and I know that he would be so appreciative and humbled by the presence of his fellow students and his faculty and friends here at LIU. While I am deeply sad and broken missing Shua, I am also honored to be here as his wife and to know that I was married to the most beautiful soul in person that he was. Emanuela and Sophia are so proud of their amazing daddy. Shua loved his girls more than life itself. They were his ultimate pride and joy and fire for life. And our family is so grateful to know how much you all loved their daddy as well. For the last 5 years of Shua's life, LIU was more than just a school. And I know this because of the sentiment that he would feel just by coming here every day. On the drive here, his sister said, "Did Shua drive here every day?" And today was quick, it was 45 minutes. When Shua drove, it was an hour and a half each way. You became his extended family, a family that helped him hone in, nurture, and bring out from within himself a passion that was so natural to him, helping others find their way. Here he was able to thrive and find the best version of himself. It was here at LIU where he built the foundations and received the support to pursue a dream of his that burned from within his soul, his natural desire to be a therapist, and what a therapist he was. 3 weeks before Shua went to the hospital, he started his first real job as a DBT therapist. After the first week in hospital, his boss rang me and said without hesitation, "Tell Shua we're holding his spot. We cannot wait to have him back." I cried when I told him there were so many people waiting for him to come home. After he passed, she wrote to me and said, "We all hear and continue to be heartbroken. Shua was only part of our practice for a short time. He is irreplaceable, and we were lucky to have him for the time that we did." I'll never forget the moment 5 years ago when Shua came home and told me the big news. He was accepted into LIU. Shua and I were living in Cleveland in a cozy little apartment in a friendly building where we were by far the youngest residents by at least 60 years. It's definitely safe to say that the noise level didn't reach peak at any given time of day or night until the night Shua came home with his big news. I couldn't even wait for him to walk into the apartment, so I ran to the elevator to celebrate the news that we had both been anxiously waiting, hoping, and anticipating to hear. We were like two young kids, screaming and jumping up and down, bursting with jubilation, excitement, and relief through the hallways all the way to our apartment, where we continued to celebrate the most exciting news of our lives. Shua had made it. The pursuit of his dreams were in motion. He was accepted to graduate school, and we were moving to New York. Shua was the best husband the world has ever seen, and the most loving and devoted father. Also, being a top doctoral student made his life somewhat full, a juggling act. He put his entire being into everything he did, always striving to be present, to do better, which he did with such finesse, poise, and grace. A couple of months ago, he called his mum to chat about life, his daily challenges and joys. Hi, Mum. Shua's mom is not here.
She's here.
She's there on FaceTime. She got the flu. And she was going to drive in this morning, last night, yesterday, but
From Cleveland.
she's here with us. She said to him, and she said this to me, and I remember the conversation Shua related to me. She said, "Shua, you are going to make the best psychologist because you put so much into being a multifaceted person. You're not one-dimensional. You love to do so many things, and you always strive to have balance." Shua's mom is so proud of him for living his life so passionately. If I would start to share everything I can about the beautiful soul and person that Shua was, I would be here forever. Right, Emanuela? So I'd like to share something that Shua wrote. I was like, uh-oh, I hope we didn't all pick the same essay. As it magnificently describes his outlook on life, his love for every human that crossed his path, and his ability to soul search and self-introspect to find the most meaningful way he could possibly live life, with purpose, meaning, and appreciation for the world around him. This is what Shua wrote. As warm beads of sweat danced down my exhausted eyelids, I mindlessly sorted through the interminable heaps of soot-covered pipes, bolts, and valves. If you want to be successful, you need to understand how business works from the inside out, my grandfather roared, rousing me from my daydreams. Impervious to the sweltering climate in the ancient poorly lit warehouse, he swiftly approached my workstation. I was now fully awake. Carefully, he selected one dusty metal tube from the pile below me with his wrinkled, knowing hands. As he gently rubbed away the filth with his lacy, initialed handkerchief, silvery light started to fill the dark room. One person's rubbish is another man's treasure, he explained as he labored. No product is ever useless. Bored, young, and dehydrated, I struggled to recognize the value of his sage advice. Little did I know that I had received my first lesson in psychology. I was supposed to be the CEO of a plumbing supply company. My grandfather, who built his father's small used plumbing shop into an international corporation, handpicked me from among 16 other grandchildren to be his successor when I was still in elementary school. Through the years, my academic education was supplemented with periodic family business lectures and long summer days in the old brick warehouse. For the majority of my life, I accepted my destiny with a mixture of pride and uncertainty. After graduating high school, I spent nearly 3 years living in Jerusalem, exploring the ancient texts and cobblestone streets of my forefathers. In the process of exploring and excavating my past, both ancestral and personal, I discovered a precious hidden artifact, my own voice. That voice, while quiet at first, urged me to pursue a path quite different than the one I had inherited. The young boy within me, the one who would stay up way past his bedtime striving to solve the world's greatest paperback mysteries, piped up. A deep interest and desire to resolve the mysteries of the mind, heart, and soul appeared infinitely more appealing and fulfilling than sitting comfortably atop a sturdy corporate ladder. In a land sometimes defined by eternal conflict, I made peace with my birthright and turned my attention to learning how the mind works from the inside out. Through acceptance to a doctoral program and training at sites such as Maimonides Medical Center and South Beach Psychiatric Center, I have started developing the tools for a life-changing trade. Instead of toilets and faucets, I now help patients with mental illness find meaning, beauty, and value in narratives that have been written off as broken and hopeless. Together, we begin to uncover and gently remove years' worth of guilt, shame, and invalidation. As the layers of emotional pain melt to the side, each person's voice, talents, and hopes courageously emerge. The therapy room fills with a familiar silvery light, and I'm fully awake. My grandfather's adage ringing loud and true. The rubbish is again revealed as treasure. No person is ever useless. Myself, Emmanuel, and Sophia, his mom and dad, brothers and sisters, family and friends, will forever be proud to say we are Shua's, and that we are touched by his love and changed forever for the better by knowing him. My dad said to me a few weeks ago, Simi, you were always a good person, but Shua, he really carved out a more patient, kinder, lover of humanity, and brought out a depth within you that Shua so naturally had within himself. He told me that I was lucky to have had him for the time that I had. I couldn't agree more. The week after Shua passed, he came to me in a dream. My eyes were filled with tears and pain, and he said to me, he was eating, mind you, and I'm sure, I know in every class. I saw the lunches he packed. I never packed one lunch for him. He packed it all himself. He was eating in a dream, and he said to me, Sim, I know this is going to be really hard, and I know it's painful, but I promise you, you and the girls, you're going to be okay. I'm going to take care of you. One of the most important fundamental rules in DBT is to validate your fellow. That was Shua. He understood me, understood my pain, the way he understood and connected with every person he crossed in his lifetime. He had a way of making their vulnerabilities have a place and then reassure them with his listening ear. He comforted by giving their inner struggle a place of value. I know that Shua also had a way of figuring out how to maneuver his school schedule so he could spend more time with the girls and I, hence the video hookup, to take a vacation, which most of you I'm sure are very familiar with. So I have no doubt that he's doing some sort of maneuvering and arranging up there with the higher-ups so he can come and make his way back down and surprise us all. Whenever we had guests over, or Shua found himself in front of a crowd or with a group of people, he would always share his passion of Torah and spirituality. So I'd like to share something to honor his soul. There is a Torah teaching that says, who is wise? One who learns from every man. Who is honorable? One who honors his fellow. Who is rich? One who is satisfied with his lot. Do not scorn any man and do not discount anything, for there is no man who has not his hour and no thing that has not its place. In his life, Shua lived by these words, and in his passing, he continues to inspire others to strive for the same understanding of what is important in life. Let us continue to be inspired by Shua and remember to be kind, to help each other, to truly listen, and to reach out to those in need. Let us all find it within ourselves to continue making the world a beautiful place, a better place, and to take care of each other as human beings. In this way, we may honor Shua and make him proud by bringing more goodness into the world, as he would have wanted. Thank you for all loving Shua and for being part of the magnificent life he led.